Confidently controversial. Confidently controversial. Confidently controversial.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to
Confidently Controversial.
It's a podcast that's about...
Movies and stuff.
That's great. I want to watch it. Movies and stuff, you say?
Yes.
I'm in 100%. Hi, Kim Tweed. How are you today?
I am well, Emily Paul. How are you? It's been so long since we've been together, I feel like.
Well, we were in a different venue last time.
Yes.
But today we're back in business. I'm in my pajamas at your house, which is my natural state that I like to be in. This is how I enjoy watching a movie.
Mm-hmm. With comfy pants on.
Comfy pants are a big part of it. So yeah, I'm really happy to be back here at your house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited because, as you know, on this podcast we take turns picking movies.
Right.
And this week it's your pick, which we don't have to get into yet. We can talk about some other things. We can banter.
Sure.
But I just want to express how lovely it is to wake up, roll out of bed, and I have no responsibilities except to come here and talk to you about a movie, and I'm excited about that.
Right. Well, this week has been nuts. Nuts.
Crazy bananas?
Crazy bananas nuts.
Why?
So, I feel like I am very last minute. I've been thinking about this because I haven't had to choose a movie for a couple of weeks, and I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks. But it really came down to the wire in choice.
It always does.
So,
it really always does.
It's a weird process. I feel like it's gotten weirder as we've gone on.
Well, what do you feel like is weird about it?
Well, it's because you just don't know what to watch, and you just don't know what you're feeling like. And it really depends on what you're feeling like.
It really does depend on what you're feeling like. And plus, it's not like these are the only things we watch.
Right.
We're always watching other things. I watch a lot of things at home with my kids, which ends up being older movies that could potentially fall into this genre.
Right.
I was watching a movie. I started watching this week. I started watching Jerry Maguire.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie all the way through. I still haven't.
Okay.
But I started watching it, and Tom Cruise. I know when we watched Rain Man, we were just like, Tom Cruise was really not peak Cruise yet.
Right.
He's peak Cruise in Jerry Maguire. Yeah, he's peak Cruise.
Yeah, I like that movie, but I also have weird feelings about that movie. I don't know. It's it's very long.
It's kind of long. I didn't get through it, so I don't know how long it is. I watched the beginning part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You got a young Renee Zellweger.
Who's a little awkward in it.
She's a little awkward. You got that little boy with the glasses.
Jonathan Lipnicki.
Why do you know his name?
I just do. I know lots of things, Emily. Lots of things.
Oh my gosh. Don't you wish you could take that little piece of your brain that knows that and put different knowledge in there?
Something else in there, yeah, for sure.
What would you choose?
To put in there?
Yeah.
Oh,
instead of Jonathan Lipnicki, it's
just replaced with an ability to do my job a little easier. It's not saying that it's hard, but at the same time, I wish I could remember the definitions of words that sometimes I have to look up, or is this the right synonym for this, or stuff like that. There
are so many things that are no longer a part of my brain that I wish I could get back.
Yeah, I think that I saw something this week that said there's always, when there's two best friends, one always has a mind like a steel trap, they remember every single thing, and the other one remembers absolutely nothing.
Well, which one are we?
I don't think we're either one. I think we remember nothing, both of us.
I think we remember certain, when we think back to certain things at certain times in our lives, I do think that we, certain of us remember different things.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
I think you're a lot more clear on your childhood than I am. You definitely remember stuff. And I assumed that something traumatic happened to me and I had to bury it.
I don't know why that is. I don't know that maybe half of it's being made up, but I don't know.
And also, don't you feel and I think this is something?
I don't know. Just keep going. Keep going.
This might be something that changes now, but I feel like so many of my memories as a child are tied to photographs. You look at a picture and you know everything that happened around it, But all of the other things that there aren't pictures of, you really don't have the same sense of time and place and story.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Well, it's interesting. So a couple of days ago, it was it would have been my grandma's 100th birthday. So I wanted to, that day, I was thinking about her. And I was like, I'm going to take a moment and think about Estelle Anderson and how wonderful she was. And I was like thinking through something. But I definitely have memories of her that are not in photographs. Like her waking up in the morning to make us like breakfast.
Right.
I don't have a photo of that. Her in her little robe.
Sure.
And slippies. But, I certainly remember it. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Memory's weird. But, that's not our podcast. That's like go talk. If that's the content that you're looking for, listeners, I'm going to recommend you go talk to Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
Like, he does some podcasts that are about, he does like nice deep dives.
Sure.
This American Life, I'm
well,
sure.
Well, he might be a scientist or something, whereas we, as you probably already figured out, are not scientists.
No. But that's the charm that we possess.
That's what we bring to this podcast. Aren't the not scientists of it all.
The not scientists, the just winging it. I mean, that's what you guys love.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I assume.
That's why you're
love.
here.
Right. For the just
come for the banter, stay for the not scientist.
That's what I say. Right. That's what I always say. So do you want to are we ready? Do you want to start talking about this movie?
I guess so. We can if you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm always ready. I was born ready.
Always ready.
Let's go.
Okay. Well, as you know, Emily.
Do I?
This week, it's November.
It is November. We're done with that spooky month.
That's right. And that means that this week also a big thing happened. And we may be happy about it or we might not be happy about it. We don't know. But it was the World Series this week.
That's true.
Right.
Yay! Baseball.
Go teams. So someone won the World Series or lost the World Series. Actually, both this week.
That happened to somebody this week, for sure.
So that's what led me to choose my movie for this week.
Is this a baseball movie?
It's a baseball movie.
Oh, okay.
Because I love sports so much.
Well, audience, what you don't know is that Kim is just completely being sarcastic. Maybe you do know. I hope you would know this about her by now, is that she's not sports. She's not science.
Sports. Not science, not sports.
Nope. None of those
Not
things.
math. So many knots.
What are you?
I am a Sagittarius.
A lover, a fighter,
right?
A best friend.
That's right.
All right, so we got a movie. It's a baseball movie. There's some great baseball movies from the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
So I'm excited to know which direction you went in.
So I went in a direction also, I feel like we need to laugh this week. We need to have a good time this week. We need a good, solid comedy movie. So this movie was made in the summer of 1988. It was filmed in the summer of 1988. It was released in 1989.
Okay.
It's rated R.
I think I know what this movie is.
You probably do.
I'm excited for this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So this movie was written and directed by someone named David S. Ward. And he was inspired to write this movie so that he could actually see his favorite baseball team win games. He felt like that was the only way he could do it, was to write it. Because they were a real stinky team.
What's the team?
The Cleveland Indians.
Okay. I know this movie.
So this movie is...
I don't know the name of it, but I know what it is. Say what. It's too early for me to know the name of it. We don't know things today. What is happening?
I don't know. I think we're a little... or something. I don't know.
Okay, let's not think about it much. We'll get started.
So this movie's Major League.
Major League?
Yes.
I wanted to watch this because my son loves baseball. Mm-hmm. Like, he's a big baseball guy. Mm-hmm. He loves playing baseball. He's really good at it. And he's, gotten more just this past year, I would say, really taken it on as a part of his identity.
Okay.
So I pitched watching this movie to my husband, like to watch with the kids, and Alex was just like, no.
I don't think it's appropriate.
No. But there's definitely certain aspects of it. But yeah.
Well, so the director of this movie, like I said, written and directed by David S. Ward, he, like I said, wanted to see the Cleveland Indians win, so he wrote a movie about it. He also wrote The Sting, which I've never seen, but I hear about a lot. Okay. He wrote Major League 2. Okay. He wrote the screenplay for Sleepless in Seattle.
Okay.
He's very varied. And then he also wrote King Ralph. Do you remember that John Goodman movie?
I do. You mean American Treasure, John Goodman?
That's the one.
Okay.
So he wrote this movie. It stars a friend of the podcast, Tom Berenger.
Oh, yes, it does.
It stars Charlie Sheen.
Okay, not friend of the podcast.
Not yet.
Maybe today's the day, Charlie.
Corbin Bernsen, who was a big 80s celeb.
Oh, yeah. What was that show?
L.A. Law.
L.A. Law.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Okay. I always get confused with him. Like, what was the other one that was like a show about people in their 30s?
30-something?
Yes.
He wasn't on that. I don't think.
I don't know.
No, that was the other guy.
That was another guy, but I get them confused because I feel like it's the same era. Right?
Yeah, okay. For sure. Someone called Margaret Wilton, Renee Russo, also a big actress of the time. Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, he was.
Wesley Snipes is in this movie. He turned down a role in Do the Right Thing to be in this movie.
Okay.
Which I don't know how he feels about that today.
Well, we can ask him.
Sure. Dennis Haysbert, who is most well known for the Allstate commercials.
I don't understand. Which Allstate commercials?
Allstate?
What is, I know what it is, but what is the commercial?
He's like the spokesman for Allstate.
Okay.
Do you live in America?
I do, but I don't watch TV with commercials that much.
All right, Mom. And then Bob Uecker.
Love Bob Uecker.
Was in Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah, he was.
But fun fact, he was also a baseball broadcaster for over 20 years. Like, he actually was a broadcaster.
Have you ever heard the bit that, oh my gosh, what's his name? Artie Lang has a whole bit about Bob Uecker.
No.
That's so funny. So you should hear Artie Lang talk about Bob Uecker and how like a dirty old man he was, basically, but also how he was like a jazz musician when he was calling games because he would like announce the thing, but he knew like when the button was on, the button was off, so he could like turn it off and say something like raunchy about someone and then go back into announcing the thing.
Wow, interesting.
But yeah, he was really famous with that. Now, of course, I always just knew him as
the dad on Mr. Belvedere.
The dad on Mr. Belvedere.
Right.
Which was a weird show. Did you watch that show?
Yeah. Yeah, weird.
I always remember the episode where the girl got mono. Yeah, I don't know. That's the one because it was like a two brother sister situation.
Two brothers, one sister.
I think so. There was like a little brother, a big brother who might have been cute.
Yeah, I'm sure he was cute.
And then a sister was in the middle, I think. And then you had Bob Uecker. Was there a mom?
There was a mom. She like had short red hair.
No, that's
Alf.
No, that's the short red hair mom is Ma'am of Ma'am and George.
She also.
She's the same mom?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's there's more than one person with red hair.
Okay, we're gonna have to go back and look at this. Okay. Sidebar over.
Despite the fact that this movie is based in Cleveland, it was actually shot in Milwaukee County Stadium. The players, when they auditioned for this film, they made them like play catch together to like test their chemistry and things like that. They didn't necessarily have to be good at baseball, but like obviously it would help. And it turned out like a lot of them played baseball in high school and things like that, including Tom Berenger and Corbin Bernsen. And then also Charlie Sheen played high school baseball, and he was a very good pitcher.
Okay.
And he was offered a scholarship to the University of Kansas to play baseball.
Wow.
And like was very good. However, he shortly after that was kicked out of high school for credit card fraud.
What? It tracks.
And he lost his scholarship. So but I mean, like you can't feel that bad for him.
Well, no, but at the same
okay.
time, like how different would his life have been?
Well, I also wonder if he would have gone. You know what I mean?
But what was going on in his life that he was committing credit card fraud in high school?
Right. I mean, his dad's an actor. Was an actor then, Martin Sheen.
Oh, yeah, I know. And Emilio Estevez lived
Is
in
his
his
brother.
house.
Well, it's his brother, yeah.
Sure. And he probably lived in his house.
Yeah. And so do you know Charlie Sheen's real name?
Yes.
What is it?
It's something Estevez.
That's not helpful.
I've heard it before, but go ahead and tell me.
It's Carlos
Okay.
Irwin Estevez.
Oh, Carlos.
Yes.
He looks
Yeah.
like a Carlos.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now, do you think so you grow up, you're Carlos your whole life.
Right.
And then, we'll say his career, I don't know when his career started, but I'm going to assume his...
Oh, I can tell you. His breakthrough role was in Platoon in 1986.
All right, so he goes along, like he was in his 20s when that film happened. Like he was out of high school.
Yeah, he was about 20.
So he's gone through high school as Carlos.
Yes.
And now, suddenly, you're like, well, everyone's going to call you Char. Like, I'm going to be Charlie for film.
Right.
Which I get, because, like, Martin Sheen is not his dad's name either.
Well, I've always wondered about this, because Estevez, I assume, is a Hispanic background, a Hispanic name.
Yeah.
And Emilio Estevez, he kept that name.
Sure he did.
But Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen, they changed their names. So are they, like, trying to hide
that they're related to Emilio Estevez?
No, I didn't know if that
I
was
would
like
try and hide that.
if they were trying to like whitewash it kind of thing.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, Martin Sheen for sure, because where he came up. Well, you got to think. I would assume him coming up at the time when he did. I'm sure some agent was just like, "Yeah, your name's a little too ethnic. We're gonna have to change that." Right. And then Charlie Sheen probably did the same thing, but Emilio was just like, "No."
I embrace my roots.
I embrace my roots. I am Emilio Estevez. I'm going to go over here and play this guy named Kerbo. Names are weird.
Right.
Let's just embrace it. It's all good.
But it's interesting, too, because, like, you would think that... I mean, I always feel like Charlie Sheen was the more famous one.
You think so?
Than Estevez?
He was the better looking one, but I don't know that he was the more famous one.
Okay. I don't know.
I mean, Emilio Estevez married Paula Abdul.
Well, that makes him very famous. Yeah, I don't know. But you would think that they would all want to be coordinated and, like, a part of a team.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know a little bit more about their family life and, like, was there a divorce that happened? But you would also think that if there was a divorce, it's a weird alignment, right? Because it's kind of like Charlie Sheen is aligning himself with his dad in one way by saying, I'm going to be Sheen, famous Sheen as well. Emilio Estevez is like, well, I'm embracing, like, that's his dad's last name. Right. So I'm embracing this thing. Maybe Emilio just was like, I want to have a career, but I don't want to trade off of your name. Like, he could have been, what's the American version of Emilio? Not American. What's an English?
Emile? That's
European.
the French version.
Emile?
I don't know. Milo?
No, that's not a good Hollywood name.
No.
He would have to go with something completely different.
Well, I have to start Eric.
Eric Sheen. There you go.
Yeah, so I went on this Charlie Sheen has become now like an infamous character.
Do young people know? Because he had his big infamous breakdown back in early 2000s.
Yes.
Is that when that happened?
Yeah, I believe
the Tiger Blood.
Yeah.
All the other
winning.
things.
#winning.
#winning. Yeah. Which was that in the 10s or that?
I think it was like 2011.
Okay. So, I mean, do young people know who he is? Like, that was a big deal at the time, but then I feel like quickly it faded away.
I think it was a big deal to our generation, too, because he had been such a celebrity. He was such a well-known figure of the 80s and 90s and very popular. At that time, he was on 2.5 Men.
Which is huge. That was the biggest show in America.
Yeah. And I read that when he started on 2.5 Men, he was making $350,000 per episode.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
Sure.
It then got bumped up to $825,000 per episode. Oof. And by the end, he was making $1.25 million per episode, and they were making about 22 episodes a season. So he was, like, incredibly wealthy. Like, he was making lots and lots of money.
So he could purchase that Tiger Blood.
Yes.
So here's my question. Like, I feel like that happened. And he was everywhere for a period of time. And he was going off the rails. I don't know, bipolar? Is it?
I don't know. But then they said, drugs? Too, that it was possibly an act because I've watched, like, it wasn't an True Hollywood story, but it was in that vein.
Okay.
About
an
that
off-brand
thing.
True Hollywood story.
About Charlie Sheen and his breakdown.
What are you doing?
You'd watch it if it was on. And, they talked about it, and there was curiosity as to whether or not it was a real thing. Like, there was animosity between him and Chuck Lorre, who ran that 2.5 Men show. Like, there was a lot of, but then eventually they made up, I guess.
Do you just want to get out of his contract?
I don't know. I really don't know. But I also know that around that same time, he let everyone know that he was HIV positive. And so, I mean, I'm sure that weighs heavily on your mental and physical health as well. Like, if you find out, I don't know if he just found out or what.
Or if he was just telling people.
Just telling people then. But he reportedly slept with over 5,000 women.
Good for him.
And spent over $50,000 on hookers with Heidi Fleiss. Do you remember that whole Heidi Fleiss scandal?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So Charlie Sheen was one of her big customers.
She was like the high class call girl, madam.
Yeah,
madam to the stars.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's a very interesting character.
He really is. And that's why I couldn't not do a little bit of a deeper dive. And then I'll tell you one more fun fact about Charlie Sheen.
Okay.
So he dated and was engaged to Kelly Preston.
Okay.
And he accidentally shot her in the arm.
Kelly Preston?
Yes.
The Kelly Preston who married John Travolta.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, was in Space Camp.
It's funny because he married Denise Richards and was married. He has children with Denise Richards.
Yes. He didn't marry her, Kelly Preston. They weren't married. They were just engaged. I think they broke up because of the shooting.
I mean, I would break up with a guy who shot me in the arm. I'd be like, no, that's a bridge too far. We got to break up.
Right.
But they kind of look similar. Don't you think? Denise Richards, Kelly Preston.
Yeah, sure. Tall, thin, blonde.
He's got a type, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
So what happened to him? Because I feel like, again, he was everywhere for that period of time. Mm-hmm. And now you just don't hear
he wasn't on that show.
Him.
Remember that Ashton Kutcher replaced him
I remember
Charlie,
that, but then
on
you
2.5 Men.
But then you feel like you would still hear about him from time to time, and he's just
laying low.
He's just, living and spending his 2.5 Men money.
Right.
And he's got daughters or something.
Yeah, and one of them does OnlyFans.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it is his daughter.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But anyway, back to Major League.
Okay, yes.
So Major League, the cast, like I said, they had to do a very intensive spring training boot camp at the start of this movie. So they all had to go to this camp to learn how to play baseball. And also to avoid injury on the set. Like, that was one of the main reasons they wanted them to really, immerse themselves in playing. But they still had to do a lot of tricks in this movie to make them look like better baseball players than they were. So they moved the pitching mound 10 feet closer than it actually is. So it looks like they're doing better than they are. And then you'll notice this when you watch the movie, or I assume we'll notice it, is when Wesley Snipes does all of his running scenes, because I guess he's supposed to be really fast.
Okay.
They're all shot in slow motion and aired in slow motion to make him look a lot faster than he is. And apparently he was the worst baseball player on the set.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I thought that was really interesting. One of the other things that is kind of cool is they had a huge cast of extras. At certain points, they had 20,000 extras because they had to be baseball fans.
Yeah.
In the stands. Charlie Sheen actually admitted, later in life, that he started taking steroids pretty early after being cast in this role to prepare. And he actually, in the movie, it's a big deal because he hits 100-mile-per-hour fastball. Okay. But Charlie Sheen actually hit an 85-mile-per-hour fastball because he was so
hopped up on steroids.
And I think I have a quote about this.
About hitting the baseball at 85 miles an hour?
Charlie Sheen said in his interview, "I didn't like the haircut because it generated so many comments and bars. I've got enough of that already. Add that to the mix and it's a recipe for a fist fight. I was already bitchy because let's just say that I was enhancing my performance a little bit. It was the only time I ever did steroids. I did them for 6 or 8 months. Or 6 or 8 weeks. You can print this. I don't give a fuck. My fastball went from 79 to 85. So.
God, I love Charlie Sheen.
He really doesn't give a fuck.
He really doesn't give a fuck. You gotta love that about him.
Yeah. So, and then to kind of wind this down to get to the start of the movie, I also thought this was really kind of fun because this is something we would like. So Charlie Sheen's nickname in this movie is Wild Thing.
Yeah, it is.
And when he goes, he's the pitcher, and when he goes to pitch, they play Wild Thing.
They do.
The song. So this actually created a trend that still exists today in Major League Baseball. Like, people really didn't do that before. But is the pitchers have like a song that they walk out to, or like that's their song for the season.
That's so cool.
So I looked up what some of the current, because it's baseball season. Like I said, we just watched the World Series, and
We're definitely heavily invested in it.
right. And so I looked up what some of the people are using right now.
Oh, interesting.
I'm gonna give you some of the hits that I think are hits. There's a lot of songs I didn't know. But then
There's probably like country ones and like
there was like one or two, and then there were some other one. But okay, so here's the list. And I'm probably gonna butcher these names of the baseball players and maybe even get their teams wrong, and I apologize for that. But I don't give a fuck. Just like Charlie Sheen.
No, you don't.
So one of them comes out to "Renegade" by Styx.
Nice.
That's David Redner from the Pittsburgh
Something.
Peas.
Hell's Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, that's football.
Is it?
Pirates?
Pirates.
Penguins?
That's
hockey.
like hockey.
Okay. Hell's Bells by AC/DC.
Nice.
And that's Ryan Hilsig from STL, which I guess is St. Louis.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
St. Louis what?
Cardinals.
Oh, good job.
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay. Somebody from Seattle, his last name might be Seawald, comes out to Jump Around by House of Pain.
I like that.
Yeah, me
like
too. David Robertson from the Mets comes out to Sweet Home Alabama.
Okay.
Like it. This one you'll like. Alex Long from the Detroit something or another comes to Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith.
Nice.
Clay Holmes from the Yankees, Sabotage by the Beastie Boys.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's got to pump you up, man.
Yeah.
Whew. Carlos Estevez, no relation, from the Los Angeles Angels, LAA.
Okay.
Comes out to Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes.
Oh, that's a good
Another
one.
to pump you up.
Yeah.
Daniel Bard from COL, Colorado.
This is great. This is the best part.
I know.
You know the baseball.
Stranglehold by Ted Nugent.
I don't know, but I like the news.
Yeah, sure. And then finally, close to our hearts because we're from here, Craig Kimbrell from the Phillies.
Okay.
You know him, of course.
Of course I do.
Yeah, huge. Comes to Sweet Child O' Mine.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What would you come out
That's
to?
what my next question is. And I've thought about this. And I think I would come out to It's the End of the World as We Know It by REM.
Oh, that's really great.
I think that would be a good one.
That
It would get people pumped.
It would get people pumped.
What would you come out to?
Can I answer after the
Yeah.
movie? Because I feel like this
need
is
to
something
think
that I
about
really
it.
need to think about.
Yeah.
A little bit. Because
Yeah.
if I'm going out there and I'm pitching,
It's got to be good.
it's got to be good.
Right.
People got to know.
Yeah.
You got to know what
Yeah.
I'm bringing to the mound.
Don't say mound.
Okay, well, I'm regretting that I did.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. So how do you feel about watching this movie?
I'm excited to watch this movie. I love me some Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, young Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, Tom Berenger. I mean, who wouldn't be into this movie?
Yeah.
My husband's going to be really excited that we're watching this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he loves this movie.
It's a very
so
good
much.
movie. It hypes me up, and I feel like it's a good for this season. Baseball, fall, November,
Sure.
whatever this is.
I feel it. All right, well, let's go watch it.
All
We'll
right.
come back and talk about it.
Confidently controversial.
We're back.
Yeah,
Baseball.
go team.
Yeah, I have to say, my favorite part about this podcast is that you and I get to watch movies.
I know.
And it's just fun to watch movies with you.
It is. It's quite enjoyable. We're in our jammies, and we get to cheer for the winners.
And we just saw, like, a fun movie.
Yeah.
It was a fun movie.
It's a good movie.
I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get why this movie is
Right.
a thing.
And sports too. I get why sports is a thing.
Well, the funniest thing about watching this movie with Kim right now is that for some reason she kept asking me questions about baseball. Now, I will preface this by saying that of the two of us,
You're the sportier version.
I'm the sporty spice.
Yeah.
Of the comedic duo. That is Kimberly and Emily. However, baseball was never my sport.
Okay.
And I don't know it. I don't understand. I don't know all the rules. You kept asking me questions throughout this movie, especially towards the end where they're playing a lot more in the games.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know why they're
why
doing
not?
the little signals and...
Yeah, let's talk about the hand signals.
But let's start there.
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, so towards the end of the movie, I mean, I get the ones where the pitcher is telling them, do this pitch.
Oh, you got to see Kim doing the signals right now.
Or he's like,
I don't know what you're doing.
Peace sign, number one. Thigh slap, number one.
Why does it look weird and dirty when you ask it away?
I guess they don't do that for that downward motion.
Doing it. Stop it. It doesn't look right when you do it.
Well, that's what they do.
Yeah, I know. It's like they I don't know what that means. I don't know. I know the signals, you look for a signal and they tell you if you're going to... Well, I know that there's the coach will
go on.
Will tell you like to bunt or to like, I don't know, they signal you things.
Okay. Well, you know that they know that they signal you to bunt because that's what happened in the movie.
But I know that I used to, well, when I played softball one season in 8th grade, and I was not very good, but I was athletic and I was fast. I was like Wesley Snipes.
I always say that.
So I was like fast. So often I would get the bunt signal because it was like, you can't hit, but you can run fast.
Okay.
So like, just get it so that you can run to the base.
So,
and I would often get on the base.
Are you implying that in the game of baseball, they're considering the full strategy? Like if you have like two people on the base, depending on who those people are, the person at the bat will hit differently based on...
Yes.
Yeah?
It's baseball. Kim, what do you think they're doing? Just like chancing it? Like just get up, see what you can do.
As a person who couldn't hit the ball no matter what with a baseball bat, I would just be like, great, I hit it. What do you want? I can't hit it special. I can't do something special with it.
No, there's like a whole thing to baseball.
So like they choose to do a second double play, or they choose to like send it to the outfield.
Well, you could like hit it down. You could. I mean, there's things I think.
Well, why don't
they
choose to hit a home run every time then?
Kim, you can't do it like that. Obviously, if you could do that, but I mean, there's different little things you can do. And then, of course, with the pitcher, there's different kinds of pitches that you can do.
Yeah, no, I know that.
So they can like, there's like a game to it. There's like a strategy that people will have.
Okay.
We both know so much about baseball.
Yeah.
I know more than you do, obviously.
Very, very obviously.
But that's only because my kids play. So I feel like recently I've been more exposed to it because I go and watch their games.
Right.
So I know a little bit. And my husband likes baseball a lot. So I feel like that's all I've gleaned is from my husband.
Okay.
And people listening to this are just like, they are dumb at baseball.
Look, at baseball, yes, I'll admit it.
But let's talk about the movie.
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
get away from this small ball talk.
Okay.
Okay. So, overall, great 80s movie. Starts out, huge trope of the 80s. We got a Randy Newman song.
Yeah.
Randy Newman, I feel... like just so it's connected to the movie. Like he was a guy like apparently amazing songwriter, amazing albums. I heard people talk about his stuff like, oh my gosh, these amazing albums. And there's a part of me that's like, maybe at some point in time I'll go back and I'll discover.
You'll go through your Randy Newman phase.
I'll have a Randy Newman era.
Okay.
Maybe. It could still happen.
Sure.
But I feel like his music to me is certainly more tied to movies. Because in the 80s, Parenthood, I feel like has a Randy Newman song, which is a big
And then
movie.
there's that I Love LA song that we listened to when we were in California, remember?
Oh my God, that was a great moment.
Yes.
Thank you for making that moment happen.
Yes. And then, but I associate him with the Toy Story.
Toy Story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many songs. So I love a Randy Newman song. So excellent that it starts out with that. This movie, while there's some wonderful stuff in here.
Yeah.
Like, love Charlie Sheen in this.
Yeah, so good.
Talk about how you like the characters in the beginning.
Oh, so like in the beginning of this movie, and this is common, and I don't feel like they do it as much anymore, but it's very much like the introduction to everyone. Like it's like a montage in the beginning where you're getting to know the different key players in the movie. So like they show you Tom Berenger's character doing whatever he's doing. Oh, he gets the call in the hotel room and he's like in Mexico. He's hungover. And so you like quickly you establish that what type of person he is. Yeah. And then we see Charlie Sheen in prison. So we establish what his character is going to be. Like, it's just this like, okay, let's get this over with. So you know who all these people are and we can move forward with the plot of this movie.
I feel like it's a very effective tool, especially when you have, an ensemble film with a lot of different characters.
Yeah.
Like when we watched, it's almost like when we watched Fame, because Fame was similar in the sense where they had a lot of people and they did do little vignettes, but the problem was that they never really went anywhere else with them. Well, there was too many.
Didn't have room to go deeper into those
there
characters.
were just too many in that, but I feel like in this, it's the ones that they choose to focus on. They don't focus on everybody in the team.
No, it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, different levels you kind of get to know them. Obviously, the Tom Berenger character is the main character in this movie.
Mm-hmm. And we quickly understand that he's like down on his luck. He's an aging baseball player. He's made bad choices. He's like playing baseball in Mexico.
Yeah.
There's like a woman in his bed.
He's drunk, hungover. Yeah.
So we like immediately understand where he is in his life.
And the same with Charlie Sheen. Yeah. And then, but you don't really get the backstory of Wesley Snipes. Like, I feel like you get a little bit of stuff with those characters, but you don't get anything with, I feel like watching this, because there's a lot of problematic parts with this movie. So I do think that even though overall I will say this movie is very fun and it's a great movie, and I think it's even with the problematic parts, I feel that it is an enjoyable enough movie that I would hope that people could still look past it and say, you know what, that was the time, because it has some black characters in it that are very much caricatures. So the 2 black baseball players that they are more focused on are the Wesley Snipes character that we had talked about. Willie Mays Hayes, who's almost like he's a showboat. Yeah. Cartoony, I would say. Yeah. And then you have the other character who he's definitely foreign. Cuban, maybe?
I think maybe Jamaican, because he's practicing voodoo, but I don't know for sure. I don't want to...
Haitian, something.
Yes.
I don't know. They don't get into it, but they do say, like, he practices voodoo, and he's, like, a little backwards in the stuff that he's doing. Although he's very lovable.
Yeah, I don't know if it's backwards, but he has superstitions, and he has, he has his Jobu statue that he lights candles around, and he wants to sacrifice a chicken and things like that because he's trying to bring himself luck.
Right, but I think that it's used in the movie to be very much a caricature and a little bit silly and backwards. But kind of how it's positioned.
One of the things I read when I was doing research for this movie is that I guess the Cleveland Indians, when they were doing well in like 2016, they actually got Jobu statues and put them in their locker room and first they put vodka out in front of him, but he didn't like the vodka, so they got him rum.
Why wouldn't you start with rum?
Right. So I thought that was really funny.
That's awesome. See, I love stuff like that. Yeah. Well, we got to talk about the Cleveland Indians, too.
Well, yes.
That's another... I mean, at the time when this movie was made, it was not a thing at all that the Cleveland Indians... I mean, it's all over the place. Their logo...
Yeah, I kind of wrote that there's a lot of Native American imagery utilized to symbolize this baseball team. Obviously, the mascot is an Indian person... Native American person with a feather on their hat.
And that's also very
cartoony. And then they do the tomahawk. And when they hit a ball out of the park, they say, it's off the reservation.
Yeah.
And
that is the fans that are dressed
the fans wear the headdresses and things like that. So obviously very bad. I did look, that character's name was Chief Wahoo, and he was discontinued in 2009 because I guess the Cleveland team moved their training to Arizona, where there was a lot of Native American people living. So out of respect, they did remove that character. And then they changed their name in 2021. So only a couple years ago.
Oh, I remember. Well, I remember that because, because people are delightful.
Sure.
And I remember there were people who were didn't like the fact that they were changing the name.
Yes.
Thought it was like bowing to, PC culture and everything else. And they, I remember seeing people had like signs.
Oh, yeah.
With the name and everything in their front yards just to signify, like, hey, everybody.
Right. Well, now
I'm
they're
an asshole.
Now they're called the Cleveland Guardians. And my understanding, because not that I'm a baseball follower, but I didn't recognize that name, so they can't be doing that well. Because usually you hear, like, team names that are doing well.
I just hear the Phillies.
Yeah.
Because that's where we live, is by the Phillies.
Their logo is like a baseball with wings.
Okay.
So, they're guardians.
They're guardians of the galaxy.
And baseball.
And baseball. But yeah, it's very hard that character is definitely
cringe.
It's a little cringe. And it's everywhere in this movie.
Yeah, like they have an animatronic screen that kind of like has this guy like blowing smoke away from it's not good.
It's not good, for sure. But it was the team at the time, and that's the thing. And I think that's something that everyone needs to embrace sometimes, is that we have progressed as a culture in a lot of great ways. And at that time, it just wasn't even a thing.
Right.
It was. I remember when we were in high school, they were doing really well. Because I remember being at other things that people would do the chop.
Well, I think is that them? Or is it because there's the Washington Redskins, too? They've since changed their name.
Did the Redskins do the chop?
I don't know.
Somebody did the chop.
Somebody chops, but I don't know who it was. But either way, terrible.
Yeah, either way, it wasn't great.
No.
And now we're moving on from that, and that's a very, very good thing.
Yes.
So those things I thought were not great. Another thing in this movie, and I'm interested, because we didn't, while we watch these movies, we often talk about things, but usually we just try and make each other laugh while we're watching it. But, so I save all the serious talk for the podcast.
All of you.
Yes, for all of you who want to hear my snotty commentary about things. The way women are treated in this movie is not good either.
Well, yeah. I mean, the team owner is a real bitch.
Sure she is.
And she's treated as such.
Yeah.
And then they basically, to help them win games, they like put up a cardboard cutout of her. And then every time they win a game, they take off a piece of her clothing so that she's, stripping down to pasties and panties. Right.
Which is, to me, felt very, I don't know, a little like rapey.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. Right.
But it's, so not great with her and the depiction of her.
And I just have a lot of questions. Where did they get that photo? Or did they just put her head on a different photo of a nude person? Like, I don't understand.
Right. Well, that's not something that
was it magnetic? Was it sticky?
Like who did the manager take that time to make all this?
To cut out the dress and then cut it into puzzle pieces? It's a lot of effort.
There is a lot of effort there. Mm-hmm. Well, I also think, so the other female characters in this are the Tom Berenger's estranged girlfriend, but like love of his life.
Renee Russo,
whose hair, oh my God.
Yeah, Emily and I had in the middle of this, Renee Russo has like this mid-length, very curly, like voluminous hairstyle.
Right.
But she like does it in like, well, obviously she didn't do it. Someone did it for her in this movie. And every single time it was like partially up, but not like half up, half down, like you would see where you would just like pull it away from your face and have a little clip in the back. It was like weird like, bun, but then also all like the front was hanging forward. We'll post pictures of this, but Emily and I had to try that style in the middle of it, and it doesn't work for us.
Well, I feel like it was like she can't be too styled. She's got to be like loose and free.
Well, I think that was her. Yeah, that was definitely her vibe. She was definitely a free spirit. She works at the library after all.
And as we all know, free spirits work at the library. Yeah, her hair was definitely something to behold. But I feel like her character, like the love, like that little relationship between the two of them, he loved her. She was moving on with her life because he had cheated on her.
Yeah.
He had
not stopped talking to her.
He stopped talking to her for years.
Right.
And she was fully just like, you weren't good to me. Mm-hmm. So I've moved on and I'm getting married to this person who is good to me.
Right. But it's going to give me a really good life. Because we're also led to believe that Tom Berenger is not doing well financially.
Yeah, because, he's been in the minor leagues and he's like a 40-year-old man or something.
Right. And they make this, like someone asks him how much money baseball players make. And he makes the comment that he makes like the league minimum, which I also read in my notes was $68,000, which is a lot of money at the time because they said like the median household income at that time was $30,000.
Yeah. I
So,
wonder
like,
what it is now.
What the median income
The league minimum is.
for baseball?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe we should look that up.
You probably should.
Maybe I will.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah.
But I think the interesting thing with their relationship is, of course, he wears her down over time.
Yeah.
And
By showing up at her house multiple times and letting himself into her house after she told him she's not really interested in seeing him and gave him a false phone number to call.
Yeah.
So that he could not get in touch with her and could not reach her.
I think we got a Curbo situation here.
He's a little Curbo.
A little Curbo.
Right. Boundaries, dude. Boundaries.
Yeah. But then in the end, it works. So what message are we sending all the boys watching this movie?
Well, and one of the other baseball players is like, you should go to her house. And he's like, well, I don't know where she lives. And he's like, all you have to do is follow her home from work, which is the definition of a stalker, just so that everyone is clear on that.
Right, exactly. So that, not great.
No.
And then you have the wife of
Roger Dorn.
Roger Dorn, who is Corbin Bernsen.
Yeah.
And his wife, who I think may have been a lady in Groundhog Day.
Okay.
But not that matters.
Sure.
But she's just like a nice wife, and he's like done well for himself. So she she seems to be just a nice wife. I don't know. But she sees that he's cheating on her.
Right.
And so she goes ahead and she cheats on him.
With Wild Thing.
Which, like, I get it.
Yeah, sure. Like you're just sitting around looking for an excuse to sleep with Charlie Sheen. And you're like, okay, well, this is it.
But then she goes and tells her husband, like, right away. She's like, I have something to tell you.
Yeah, doesn't she call him?
No,
like,
she tells him.
Yeah.
But then I think the thing, it's like, what is she trying to do here? Because then the other thing that's interesting is, like, the message really is that, okay, these women will put aside because baseball is more important than girls, because even though you think Corbin Bernsen for the big game is going to be all mad, but he's like, I don't care, just strike this person out. Like, I just want to win. Right.
Like, they're doing like the other players are doing their best to keep them away from one another so that a fight doesn't ensue. And then Corbin Bernsen approaches him on the mound.
Ew, mound.
and like they think it's going to be a thing, and then he's just like doesn't say anything about his wife at all.
Yeah.
But then he punches him at the end of the game, but then immediately picks him back up and hugs him.
Yeah.
Which we can't determine if that game was the World Series or not.
It was the World Series.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was. I think it was just the championship.
What leads you to believe that it wasn't the World Series?
I think it was the playoffs.
Kim, what do you know about the playoffs?
I don't know anything about anything in this world.
It was set up as the big game. And
I'm going to tell you that it's not the World Series.
Okay. Well, we're going to fight. We're going to fight about that afterwards. Right. Yeah. So it's definitely like women are just either they're bad or they're just, they're going to do the thing that you want them to do.
We're bad.
We are bad. But I would definitely say this is a boy movie.
Sure.
So looking at it,
take that, everyone.
So looking at it from that angle and knowing that a lot of young boys watch this movie,
right?
It's definitely not sending too many great messages about, good relationships with women as equals,
right?
Women as having agency.
Sure.
Not great.
No, not good. Not good.
But Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like his look comes together in the midst of the movie. Like he gets these sweet glasses with a little skull in the middle, which we were admiring, or I was admiring.
Yeah.
And I mean, he pulls it together. It looks good. At one point in the movie, they all go out to Wesley Snipes' character and Tom, what's his name? Tom Bergeron.
Tom Bergeron, who's Dancing with the Stars.
What's the guy's name?
Well, now I can't think of anything but Tom Bergeron.
Well, Wesley Snipes and Charlie Sheen.
Now I gotta literally look it up because my brain does not work at all.
Tom Bergeron.
It's Tom Berenger.
It's close. All right, start over. Tom Berenger.
Okay, Kim. Try it. Take from the top. And
okay, so there's this one point where Tom Berenger, Wesley Snipes, and Charlie Sheen, they go out to dinner, And Charlie Sheen is wearing like a leather sleeveless vest and like a mesh t-shirt with a bow tie or with a necktie. And then, he progresses into a better style choice as it moves on.
Yeah, he does.
Question for you that I thought about. Have you ever booed?
Booed?
Yeah,
like at a game?
Yeah, at anything. Have you ever been like, boo?
Yeah, it's great. It feels great.
Really?
Yes. Boo. It feels great.
But like in what context? Like if someone comes up to bat or something like that, like you've been...
Yeah, like from the opposing team.
Yeah.
Of course.
Really?
You gotta boo. What are you just like, I need to support everyone. They're all winners.
Everyone has a great time. So
everybody please do your best out there.
No, so like if you were in a basketball game.
Yeah.
And someone was like going to shoot a free throw.
Okay.
Can't talk today. A free throw. Mm-hmm. Would you guys boo?
Sure. You know what we used to do when I played basketball?
What?
If for like the opposing team, they would do a thing. So if sometimes like you'll have your crowd behind the net is where seating is in some gyms. They would have seating behind the net. Mm-hmm. And if it's like the opposing team is taking a free throw, they would pick up newspapers and hold up the newspapers, psych them out.
Like I'm not interested.
I'm not interested. You suck.
I'm so bored by your basketball playing abilities that I will be reading the newspaper.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
Well, psych out, man. I don't know. Like, I mean, certainly not when you're playing on a team. I don't think that it's very sportsmanly to boo the other team. Right. But if you're a spectator, boo away. It's part of the fun.
Right.
You gotta boo.
And I feel like, so I'm not a sports person, as you can clearly tell by this full episode and every single thing that's coming out of my mouth. I'm not a words person today either, or a sports person.
What are you?
I don't know. But I like it, like, towards the end of this movie, like, when everybody kind of comes together to rally around a team. I love that. Like, I'm a fair weather fan in that regard. Like, my husband and I were at a bar recently, and it was like when the 76ers were doing well, and like the bar was packed with people, and like they had like all these big screens and everyone was cheering, and I'm like, look, like they're gonna win, like, and it, like the ball, if they did well, I'd be like, yeah, and like get so excited about it. And Brandy goes he's like, I didn't know you liked basketball. And I was like, I don't, but I like this.
But that's why people like sports.
Yeah.
Because it's like you stay with it. So Kim, let me tell you about sports.
Okay.
I mean, the thrill of victory is why people stay with it.
Sure.
Because they want, like, those moments are the moments. This is why America loves sports. Have you ever watched the Olympics?
I don't care for the Olympics.
But that's the thing. Like, you're cheering.
No, I understand.
And it's great. And they build up all the stuff so that you feel that thing.
Right, but imagine... So you like a baseball team and they play 162 games or something like that in a year. You have to feel that way, like that high, that level of anxiety 162 times in a year.
No,
that's too much.
But I don't think that's how, like, because a lot of those games, the stakes aren't very high.
Right.
Until it starts getting towards the end. So you want to kind of, if you're a fan, you'll kind of watch those games. Like my in-laws, they watch every single game. And... it's like background, but you get to know the people through all those games. So now you kind of know a little bit about them. And then as the season goes on, the stakes get higher because now you're entering into like playoffs and stuff like that.
And I get money if they win.
You do?
I'm just asking, why do I care?
Because it's your team and you're invested.
But I don't know them.
But do you ever watch a show and you get invested in the characters?
Yes, of course.
Well, that's what sports is. It's
so
a
they're
show.
acting.
No, Kim. It's a show. People get invested in it, and then if they start doing really well, it's like it's their team.
All right, I get.
I can't believe I'm explaining sports to you right now and how it works.
No, I understand.
I just think it's weird that you don't understand that that's why people like it, because those moments, though they might. I mean, that's why you always hear like the people who stick with their teams, even though they just don't win. Right. It's like why do you do it?
Like the Cleveland Indians.
Like the Cleveland Indians. And people stick with it, and then every once in a while, you get that moment. It makes it all worthwhile. But it is nice. Like, I lived in Philadelphia when, when I lived in Philadelphia, people just get they're so invested and they get so behind all of those sports teams.
Right.
And when they're doing well, I think at different points in time when I was there, all the different, I think the Phillies won the one time when I lived there. The Eagles won when I lived there, and they got close a couple times, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And then the Flyers did well. And all of those times, I just remember as they were moving forward within those like playoffs or whatever, those championships, you could talk to anybody in the city and be like, oh my gosh, did you see the game?
Right.
And they had, and they knew about it. And everybody was like in it. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't live in the city anymore. So I feel like, well, what's the point?
I guess.
Like, there was a point to it then.
But I feel like on social media, like, you'll go, especially now, it's, it's baseball season. And like we said, the World Series just happened and that team won.
That team won.
And that other team lost.
That team lost.
Yeah. And people were sad, but people were talking about it on social media a lot, which is always interesting to me because it's just like my boys, it's time, it's the season for my boys. My boys are back. And it's just like, they don't know you. They don't belong to you. Stop it. You look silly.
Well, yeah, I do think that people get a little bit too into it. Where, like, I think people derive a lot of, like, I don't want to say anything mean to people. I mean, a lot of people like sports. And I don't want, but like...
I'm not being mean. I'm just saying
I don't understand it either.
Okay.
Like, I get it to a certain extent when you're, like I said, when I was in Philly, I got it. It was part of, it's your town. Like, watching my kids play baseball, I'm obviously invested in that to watch them win and do well. But I don't understand the people who I guess it's just what they're into.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm not mad at them. I'm just saying I don't understand it. And also to be like, all of a sudden you're just like going along. And then all of a sudden people start doing well and you're like, my boys.
Yeah, that's weird. I know. Some people are a little bit obnoxious with all the sports stuff. But... they love it.
And when people are mean to other people because like they like opposing like football teams and stuff like that, and then they like get shitty with each other on Facebook and stuff, that to me, I'm just like, I don't understand.
I think for that, I mean, I'm not a psychologist. Okay. I don't know baseball,
nor science,
nor science, nor psychology.
Right.
However, I do think that there's something that, like with human beings, or if you're lacking something else, people invest a lot of themselves in sports. And I would probably have to say that somebody who maybe had other bad things in their life or was lacking in other areas, that's why they put so much more into the sports, or why they like, I think there's a certain element of fun where people get into it and they like to tailgate and they go to the thing and it's a fun thing.
I mean, it's fun to go to a baseball game every now and again.
Sure. But for the people who get like mad and punch other people because of it.
For a win or a loss, people get punched.
Yeah. That's a whole other level of issue that people certainly have. So it's problematic.
When I was in middle school, I liked this boy who was very into the San Francisco Giants. So that's a baseball team.
Yeah.
And, okay. And so all of a sudden I was very into the San Francisco Giants. And then he was very into like Duke basketball, like college basketball with Duke. So like for a while, like that was my like... That was part of my identity.
Well, I've also posited in the past that a lot of times I think women do that, where it's like how I'm gonna like this because, but not even just with sports. I think with other things.
Yeah. Like, it creates this common bond.
Yes.
So therefore, I will go home and watch the college basketball kids get drafted to professional sports teams, so I can talk about it and have input on it the next day. And I don't like that version of myself when I look back on her.
Right. But I mean, but also thinking now, one of the things that kind of sucks about our culture right now is that it's so fragmented and there's not a lot of communal things that we have, where, it used to be there's only a few different channels, so people watched a lot of the same shows. So you had a lot to talk about. So it's almost like sports is one of the last things,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not in any way making me want to know more about it or try and watch the games or anything like that. But I do feel like it's one of those last bastion things where people do
come together
around a certain thing, and there's something really nice about that.
Sure.
So stop hating on sports,
I'm
Kim, and
not.
sports fans.
I'm
I
just
can't
trying
believe
to
you.
understand it better.
Okay.
So you had mentioned that Alex told you that your kids couldn't watch this movie. Do you feel like after watching it they could?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go home and be like, why don't you think they could watch this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's terrible. I mean, I think they've watched things that...
Yeah, but although you did just say the impact that the message it gives to boys isn't great.
But I also feel when we know we're watching something like that with our kids, like we'll kind of talk about it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about with this movie?
No, but thank you for choosing it so we could watch it together.
Yeah, I feel like it was a solid choice, especially because World Series. So I do have a connection to James Spader.
Really?
Yes, quite easy. Direct connect, in fact.
Direct connect?
Yes. So Charlie Sheen is in this movie.
He is.
He is.
Okay.
And he was in Wall Street in 1987 with James Spader.
Awesome.
Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I love that, and I loved watching this movie with you, and this was great. And all you people, thank you for listening to us. And we don't care if you like sports; like that's cool.
No, be confident in your sports liking, and be confident in the fact that you don't understand anything about sports, and ask a lot of questions, even if your best friend gets mad at you about it.
Yes, but you know what? If you're going to be confident, like just don't be controversial and be mean about the people who might like a thing that you don't really like.
Not being mean. I'm just asking questions.
All right, well, play ball.
Bye.
Controversial.